Good morning out there, Facebook friends. This is Kathy, the neighborhood gardener, and it's time to get my day started. I normally start out by just taking a quick walk out in the garden in the mornings, because I just like, that's how I maintain after the garden is finished, which it is. And just look around. If I see any little weeds that I need to pull, just pick those up, sticks, stuff like that, just to keep the garden looking fresh. And then that way it's done on a daily basis. It takes just a few minutes and you enjoy the peace and the quiet. So I enjoy that. Anyway, I do have some pots and stuff that I wanted to show you that I have had bulbs planted in, and some of them I don't tag them. I just will put a little marker in it and just set it aside. And then it's kind of like a little surprise in the spring when these things pop up. So I do have some of those that I wanted to share with you. So come with me, and I'm just going to give you a quick look at what's going on in the garden. So here we go. Let's get this day started. Come with me. I have a yellow milkweed that still needs to go into the ground. And this is one of the plants that draws bees and butterflies. And I just wanted to show you. So this is the beautiful yellow bloom, and look what is behind it. A nice monarch caterpillar. Is that I just think that's amazing. I love that kind of stuff. I'm such a geek. But look at that little guy. Pretty soon, he's just having himself a good meal. Pretty soon, I'll see that one flying around in the garden. I love the monarchs. Like the chenille plants are starting to bloom. That is new. So look at these. These are pretty cool. Just beautiful little buds. Not buds, what would you call them? They feel like little chenille. Maybe that's why they call them chenille plants. Reminds me of my grandmother's bedspreads, right? Okay, this plant right here. This is one of my favorite plants given to me by my friend Mary, who this was in her garden in St. Louis, and this is called columbine. And I just wanted to show you, I hope you can see this with the way the sunlight is shining down. I hope it's not preventing you from seeing this, but look at that little honeycomb in there. These flowers just hang their little heads down, and it is one of my favorite plants. It kind of goes dormant in the winter. I don't do much with it. I have just left it in this pot, and it just comes back every year. Here's one that has just a bud on it. It hasn't opened up yet, but it's just a delicate little plant. This is called rose moss. Can't think, portulaca, I believe it's called. But look at these little blooms on this. It's starting to, I left it out for the winter. It did pretty good, and just had to cut it back. It's kind of like in the succulent family, but this is just blooming out really nicely. And another thing I wanted to show you, these are my yellow iris, and look at the buds. Also some 4 o'clocks in this garden. I did not plant them, they just showed up. Sun succulent, look at the little flowers on this. I think that's just beautiful. I don't know how the sun is hitting it. If you can actually kind of get a good shot of that right there, beautiful. Anyway, this is also in the succulent family, and just in a pot, and it's a good plant to propagate off of. I've made several plants off of this mother plant as well. Here I've got this planted itself. This is the chlorodyndron, the shooting star. Underneath of these leaves are just a beautiful plum color, and then the nice green on the other side. These are one of my favorite plants. When they're in bloom, they make these huge, beautiful starburst looking flowers on them. These are some pots that I have marked off, and the bulbs are starting to come out. So what I want to show you, this first one here, I really am not sure which one this is, but you can see the bulb is starting to come out, and I just put like these little markers of some sort in here so I know don't pitch the pot. It's not just an empty pot with just some dirt in it. It's got a bulb that'll be coming out. So anyway, I have these markers in like this. I believe this is another voodoo plant. I'm not positive, but I don't see any bulbs coming up. Right next to it, caladiums. Look at these beautiful bulbs that are starting to pop up and unfurl. Look at the color. I just love the different shades. Looks like somebody just took a paintbrush and splattered that, right? I do have another one over here that unfurled about a week ago, and that's what they look like. Isn't that just beautiful? And I also, some sedum, I did not plant that in there. I think little pieces just got planted in there, and so I just left it. It's a nice shade of green that just happened to pop up in that plant. Beside that, I have a, I believe they're called Hawaiian lilies. They're starting to pop up, and we'll see what the blooms look like on that. This is another one of the voodoo plants that I separated from the mother plant. This one seems to be growing a lot faster. It did pop up a little earlier, so let me show you the stalk on this. The stalk on this is just beautiful. This plant is a very fast growing morphing plant that is what I want to capture when it does pop up out of the ground. This just bloomed out yesterday. This is the buttercup bush, and again, this is a nice pollinator. Let me see if I can grab that flower, focus in on that. How beautiful. And these also reseed, so I have several of these. It's a nice little bud that's trying to come out there. The passion vine, there's a couple of buds that I see on here. Here is a little bud that's coming out, and this has done really well. I planted this up a few weeks ago in the garden, and it's doing really well. There's one of the flowers. Beautiful. And let's see, let's go to a different part of the garden now. This area right here is where I have the mother plant of the voodoo plant. I'm keeping an eye on it. It should be coming out. It's usually the end of spring is when this will bud out in there. I just haven't marked off with some of these rocks. These rocks I actually got from my grandfather's garden in St. Louis. They're called sponge rocks, and so it's just a cool thing to do to bring these rocks back to Florida. And so a part of his garden lives on in Maliads. These things are prolific growers, and they have spread. I think this started with just 1 or 2 plants, and they have just spread. Look at the mass spread on those things. They don't bloom out a spiked flower, but it's just very close to the center. You'll see a little purple flower. Let me get that leaf out. It's just the bright red foliage around, and then let me see if I can get a little closer. It gets a little purpley spike flower. So they do take part shade, part sun, but anyway, they're prolific in spreading. So I think that is pretty much it that is blooming in the garden. The surprise blooms anyway. Here's another one of those bromeliad plants, and look at the spike on this. Beautiful. The contrast on that green with the, I don't know, I just think the coloring on these, that's what I love about so many flowers. Everything is a little different. And then I do have some more of the spider lily bulbs that are coming up here, and hopefully in another month or so they will be blooming. And back here in the bee garden, stalks are starting to come up on the bee balm. So I just want to show you, this is a quick little stalk here. It will get a little stalk on it that will turn kind of orange and yellow like this. So they just need a little more sun. It's just a cloudy day, but look at this guy. And this bee is on the Duranta tree that I planted, so I'm happy to see he's pollinating. All right, you do your job. I'll get out of your way. And then the Ruellia is starting to bloom out. Okay, there are little purple flowers. These flowers also very prolific in spreading, and they'll just reseed, and you can control them. They pull out of the ground easy. And also the porterweed is blooming out. I cut these back, and they're really flushing out some beautiful purple flowers that the bees also love. So let's see, I don't think I have any other bulbs out here. The caladium, these have all come out. Look at the beautiful color on those. And that is in a pot. I've had that quite a few years now, and it just does beautiful. Look at the coloring on these leaves. Just a little hint of red right here, and then it looks like just a beautifully created bloom. Look at that. I just love it. A little bit of variegation in there, a little different variegation. How beautiful. I love this stuff. I'm such a geek, but I love it. All right, and then back here, I do have some amaryllis in this pot. They've bloomed once already this year, and I also have those around my tree. And let me just kind of show you here. There is a bloom starting to come out on this amaryllis. So that's within the next week or so, it should be blooming out. Let me show you one of my metal birds that I put in this tree. I think this is the coolest thing. It's metal. I bought it from online. I have that, and I have a cardinal that I'll show you as well. It's a woodpecker, and just the way it shows up with the sky behind it is pretty cool. It's just a nice little treat in the garden. I love that kind of stuff. I do have a little bit of yard art in my garden, and I just like to place these things around. And then I also have the bottle tree, which I have a blackberry lily in front of that. That has not started blooming yet, but these will get pretty tall, maybe about 4 foot tall, and it will have these beautiful orange spiked flowers on it. And the 4 o'clocks, they're starting to come up. They will die back in the colder weather, but these will get some beautiful red blooms on them. And again, those are another one that you have to stay on top or it's gonna overtake your garden. Here I have a squirrel's tail shrimp plant, and I potted this in the ground. It was part of a propagation I made from out in front. These blooms, beautiful. They'll get little pink and purple caladiums are coming out in the pots really nicely. Those are looking pretty good. Right, so that is it for my maintenance trip in the garden. Everything looks pretty good. I don't think I have to really do much out here today. Over here, just want to show you really quick. This is my YTT bush here, and this will bloom out probably the end of spring. It gets beautiful white and purple flowers all over it. It's called a yesterday, today, and tomorrow, a YTT bush. That will be just beautiful when that blooms out. So things bloom different time of the season out here. That's it for the morning maintenance walk. So thanks for coming along with me. I hope you enjoyed that. I just always enjoy taking a walk out there in the morning. It just kind of calms me down a little bit, and it's nice to just go out there and walk and enjoy all the blessings that we have. So I hope you're all doing really well out there, and this will all be over soon. So I hope you all have a great day, get inspired, and go do something that you enjoy doing around your house today. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate you watching this. You take care out there.